Okay, well, first off, guys, just kind of a recap. It was just great to be back in the swamp after, I think Pat pointed out last week, what was it, 300 and whatever days it was? 308. 308 days, and it kind of, the fans, the people that put the time in and made the effort to make the game happen. And I think ultimately the swamp, the atmosphere, the fans had as much to do with us winning that ball game as anything. And man, it was great. And now the key is to build on that. Get ready to go play on the road against a team that's won a bunch of games in their last bit, that's playing as well as anybody is in the league. And it's going to be a crazy place. I know they're looking forward to it. Our guys got to understand that in order for us to go in and play well and with confidence, we've got to do the things we need to do in practice this week to give us an opportunity to go in against a really good team. And I can't tell you the job he's done, Mark's done there is incredible. And you can see now after those years, his guys there, how they play, the type of guys they have, the athletes they have. I know we felt after the season last year when we went back and did our total recap that they had some of the best skill of anybody we played. So we've got obviously a heck of a road. We'll be excited to get back after it today and get ready to play a heck of a game. So injury-wise, Duke will be highly questionable. Obviously, we'll see where that is as we go throughout the week, but he won't go today. Kylan Johnson is doubtful again. He was only at about 75% on his as of this morning, so he'll probably be down again. We are flying James Robinson to a specialist, so we should know more at the end of this week based on where that is. Other than the normal kind of nicks and bruises as you're going to have in a conference game, we came out, pretty decent. I think with Duke being down, it's really going to put, the onus on those young guys, as you saw a lot of them that played last week, to really pick up their communication and not just rely on him. So this is going to be a big week of that, and them in film study and putting a plan together to allow both sides of the ball just go play fast, and that's what we have to do. So other than that, questions?
Mark? Hate to start with the negative, but going back, now that you looked at the tape, clock management there at the end with the timeouts.
Yeah, I think I talked about that
a little
after
bit,
the game, didn't I?
A little bit, yeah.
It looked like it was going to be a first down. We wanted to save for 2 to get to Eddie's kick line. Alert down, bang one, alert down, and bang one. That was on me, obviously. Our guy on our sideline pulled up the first down marker, so I thought it was dead. At that point, we were going to go ahead and so that's on me. And we knew where we needed to get to. That was the reason for trying to save the 2, thinking it was a dead clock. Obviously, looking at it, I think we lost 9 seconds in transition. It was their spot, and I'm not saying anything about that, where the ball was, and then they moved it back. Should have gone in and bagged one right there.
And then, secondly, it was pretty clear that you guys tweaked some things offensively in week 2, game 2. A lot more.
There'll be more.
A lot more sideline, quick
Yeah.
throws. Is that all reactionary based on Michigan maybe? And
Well, I think more so what the defense was giving us too, especially to the field. They were clouding a lot into the boundary and playing off to the field, which is something we'd seen, and especially in first and second down. So we wanted to take advantage of that in the RPO piece. And Felipe did a pretty good job of at least getting it to guys. I thought that he handled that piece pretty well.
After the game, you're obviously happy, but you said you have to work on the consistency after watching tape.
Yeah,
what
just,
are the areas where you need to?
Mike points, who they're working to, and the communication they're in. I mean, we had, yeah.
Edgar, or I'm sorry, Thomas first and Edgar. Sorry.
I guess there were some rumors or speculation from fans on social media that you took over the play calling in the fourth quarter. Is that accurate? I mean,
No.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Edgar,
Can I hand Mac the mic so we can actually hear him?
yeah, we're working on that, I think. What I mean for you.
Sorry, I'll speak louder.
No, I'm sorry, but with that, it's hard. It is hard to hear. Pick you up.
Okay.
So, yeah, Coach. So, Tyree, I don't know if you're like necessarily look for like a number one receiver. I know you've had him in the past. Are you seeing the makings of a guy who can be that, and what has been the area of growth for him that's put him in that position?
Well, I think the biggest thing is he's kind of really invested in, getting in shape, number one. Number two, understanding the position and playing with some technique where I think he was able to get away with just running fast, when he got here. But learning some of the technical details and places you need to be. He's a fun guy to be around, and here's what I like. He's learned how to practice, and by learning how to practice, then that becomes confidence in games. And I think you're right, and yet I think the biggest thing now is people have to be aware of that position, which now in turn may take a half a man or somebody in coverage to allow some other guys to kind of get open as well.
What areas of growth do you want to see from Felipe going forward? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
he's able to build off such a huge play, but what did you not like and want to see better?
Well, I mean, there were 6 critical plays where just take what the defense is giving you. Don't predetermine where it's going to go. In particular, Kadarius got hot, so we called a play and they jumped on him, and we had huge play over the top. Just reading low to high to low, and some it's just base. So obviously the interception. Was designed to should have gone somewhere else, and we had a critical third down, kind of coming out. He tried to force into BP. That Reed was clearly on the other side. Those things that you can't predetermine it, and you got to key your safeties. This is a week. You got guys that they're going to show you closed and roll to open and end up in the forms of Tampa 2. They're going to start and split safety and roll to close and roll their safeties down from a coverage standpoint. You saw them do it a year ago against a lot of young quarterbacks that were in there, that they played against. They do an outstanding job of disguising on defense. In fact, their defensive coordinator was actually with us at Michigan State as a GA, and he's really good at knowing that what confuses guys. So we're going to have to take that out of Felipe's hands and let him just play a little bit.
Yeah, my eyes were glazing over a bit there what you were explaining, but myself.
Well, I mean, you asked the question.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
no,
so-
I'm joking.
Okay.
But Kentucky, Vanderbilt, LSU, these are all coached by defensive-minded head coaches.
Uh-huh.
Is this going to be a challenging little stretch for a young quarterback going against that?
Well,
kind of-
I think I answered that based on what they have shown against rookie quarterbacks over their time. It's a different, they run a different defense than they did against the Josh Dobbs, who was a veteran, say, a year ago, than they did against, say, Georgia's quarterback. I mean, you look at those things and the like situations, and they do a heck of a job, and obviously Mark's a heck of a defensive coach. He's done a heck of a job with that program. He's playing with the guys that he wants. He got some big guys up front. You take a look at what they've done in third down, getting the ball back. I think that speaks for itself, and that's the key to defense: get the ball back, not allow them to win on third downs. And we've got to win on third downs, and it's not going to be easy, especially in that environment. We're not going to be able to do a lot of the shifts and motions that you normally maybe do. We got to simplify some of that to help Felipe himself be able to see what the coverage is going to be, and then put it on the right spots from there. But I think ultimately there, again, it's a matter of us not being afraid to be wrong, but just go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but let's get our guys in space. I think somebody brought it up over here earlier, and let them maybe make a guy miss when we don't have them all blocked. I don't know. That's kind of what has to happen.
Phil, yeah.
Aside from the interceptions, just what's been your evaluation of Henderson and how he's played? And if Duke can't go, how does that maybe expand his role?
Well, he'll obviously be in there, and he's had a pretty expanded role anyway. Obviously it put some pressure on us. I think getting CJ back, you saw him make a big play as a nickel down in the red area when they tried to run the wheel with the back late in the game. He was in great position. He's a guy that we'll need to get more out of. Obviously Brad Stewart and Quincy Linton. Some things there as far as what we're going to need to do in the back end, especially with the nickel spot. Obviously at corner, some guys are going to have to step up, and it's what they came here to do. So,
Ryan over here to the right.
I think going back, the big piece is going to be is, can we affect this guy as a passer? That'll be the telltale.
From your experience coaching quarterbacks, how long can it take to break a young guy of those habits of predetermining and not scanning everything?
Well, I think it happens. Everybody's different. I don't think there's one singular time frame. Guys get it at different times. The good thing is he studies it, he sees it, he verbalizes it, which is really good. Some guys hide a little bit sometimes, like afraid to say they, messed it up. In his case, he owns up to it, and that's the first step in anything you do.
And then Luke was your number 2 Saturday. What has he done to earn that spot on the depth chart? He's healthy. I mean, that's a big thing. He's back. He's healthy. That doesn't mean Malik is, buried down at the bottom. There's things that we're ready for him as well, and so, we're prepared for whatever may move forward.
Pat and then Roddy. Pat.
Yeah, Jim, you guys have the 5 picks, but you're still -1 on the turnovers because of
Yeah.
all the fumbles. Obviously, it's something you're going to be stressing, but can you just talk
Well,
about?
it's interesting, Pat, because obviously that's an everyday drill. It's an EDD. My hat's off to their guy. In fact, show it to our team about what hustle is. And, on the one with Malik, that was,
a heck of a play. You know, he still had it and got stripped. You know, I mean, that LaMichaels, they did a great job of stripping. You know, Felipe in the first game, you know, he was loose with the ball in space. You know, there's Tyree on the kickoff return. You know, you continue to work on it. That's the big thing. And I think the big piece there as well is understanding the play is never over.
Also, they're not maybe the Kentucky teams we've seen a lot up there. They physical, lead the SEC in rushing defense and play some decent teams. He's talking about the transformation. I mean, I know it's only year three for you, but you also saw them back in Alabama. Just the transformation in the players that they have now.
Well, like I said, he in his fifth or sixth year, I don't know exactly what it is, but what they're playing in kind of the way he wants it played, and I think they've done an outstanding job of fitting those pieces. You know, they've got big, long corners that can really disrupt you on the outside. They've got some. What I've noticed is they've really increased their size on the inside, and you know, you alluded to it. Nobody's running the football on them, and then when you're not running it, it makes you one-dimensional. So, you know, I think that's a credit to what he and his staff have been able to do. They've done some really good things there as a program, you know, emphasizing football. They've really given him, you know, some good things there to recruit to, and obviously he's done a heck of a job. So I've seen it come a long ways. I mean, like you said, you know, when I look all the way back, this is a totally different Kentucky football team. You know.
Robbie?
You mentioned hustle. Could you talk about the play that Polite made where he ran about 40 yards to make the tackle on Kelly?
You know, and he was actually you know, one of our defensive players of the game, not because of just that play, but you know, it's interesting when you look at that singular play. The guy made some guys miss, made a heck of a play, and when you look at it, both he and Kyrie, who were at the line of scrimmage, were the two guys that got to the ball carrier because they never quit. And I think in saying that, you can point to some things. I thought our guys really played hard in a lot of instances. But if he's not there and Kyrie's not there, that guy scores. So, I mean, it kind of puts a smile on your face.
And you mentioned how calm Felipe was in the game. You can't really coach that, I guess, but where do you think that comes from with him?
Well, I think number one, his you know, he's got confidence. He's got confidence in himself. He's got confidence in the guys around him. I think, you know, him growing up playing all the different sports, and you know, being the guy that had the ball on the mound, being the quarterback, you know, playing in championships. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Matt, over here to the right.
The fumble aside, what does Malik bring to this backfield unit?
Yeah, no, he brings a little juice. There's no doubt. He's a little bit different. He's a slasher, you know. Does a really good job of sticking his foot in the ground, running through inside arm tackles, and yet, you know, he's a guy, like I said, with a lot of these young guys, you know, expanding their roles as they continue to learn. I mean, no one felt worse after the game than he did, and yet he'll learn from it. And you know, it's good to have, especially where we're at, you know, at that position.
3 weeks ago this time, Felipe obviously wasn't yet named the starter. He didn't make it through the Michigan game, but now he's clearly seems to be the guy. What's he done kind of to become that, and what's he done compared to your expectation level? Because obviously you never know where you're going to get until you throw him out there for real.
No, I think it's just kind of a complete maturation and body of work, you know, from the time he was here as an early enrollee. You know, he's done a good job of getting better, especially with his feet, his knowledge. Like I already talked about the 6 plays that you know what, he's got to make 3 of those 6 next week. Then he's got to make 4 of those 6. Then he's got to make 5 of those 6. Then you got to be 6 for 6. When you start to do that, now you got a pretty good deal going.
Thomas.
I know you guys emphasized tackling last week.
Late in the game, we didn't tackle worth a hill of beans, and you know, what bothered me was a secondary tackle, and especially from some of our, quote, you know, good guys, that veterans, you know, that's been pointed out. It'll continue to be pointed out, and we got to do a better job wrapping up.
I know you said you thought they were tired. Was form tackling some of that too? I mean, just in terms of technique?
Guys not doing what they're supposed to do.
Ryan, or I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
You've mentioned not being afraid to fail, not being afraid to succeed, probably since you've been here.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up again. What are ways you can kind of combat that as a coach for players?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. I think it starts with the obstacle is the way. Something you might want to look into.
Mark.
Quick Google search there.
55. Go ahead, Nick. Follow up.
Yeah, I was going to follow up. Housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Players.
Housekeeping. You know, so did you see my bed? I didn't make it this morning. Housekeeping.
Karen won't be happy.
Housekeeping. I like that.
You don't have a maid?
No, I don't have a maid.
Suspended guys, still suspended.
Yeah. Housekeeping. So I got to ask this question. No, this is actually pretty good. So before we get up here, does it just go down the line and who gets you got it this week? Is that I promise you this, when we do know, I'll let you know. It doesn't need to be housekeeping at that time, right? Maybe lawn mowing. How's that? No, you pass.
It's nice to see you smile.
I just love it.
But seriously, you're not going to please everybody, but there's this like sentiment out there that you look glum. Like I get it after Michigan, I get it with the hurricane, but like a little bit after the game Saturday night, maybe even a little today, are you bummed about something? You other than the offense?
I haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
I apologize if I'm not doing something right. I guess.
Do you feel underappreciated?
No.
Okay.
No.
I am. 55 plays a game. 55 plays a game offensively.
Yeah.
Obviously not what you want. Is there anything you can do other than convert more on third down? Is there anything you guys can do?
No, here's a big piece too, is figuring out how to win a game. And some of that might be not allowing the other team to have the ball. And understanding who you are and what you're all about and your strengths. Here's how you have more plays. You convert on third down, right? And so that's what we got to do.
Do you have a better sense of who you are as a football team? Not you, personally.
Wow. I guess.
You're about to become a grandfather, right?
I am, and excited.
Like a month
that.
away?
No, less
you
than
should be
that, I
giddy
think.
up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to let the little one call you?
Oh, I just hope he doesn't call me a-hole, right?
Get in line, little man. It's a joke.
I hear you.
Was there a question, Mark?
I asked.
Ryan and Marty. Ryan.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
It is kind of housekeeping.
Okay, good. Housekeeping. Is this a housekeeping row today? I like that.
Understanding you're keeping the stuff close to the vest and the suspensions, are you getting any more clarity behind the scenes as this goes along? Is it progressing at all, or?
You want to answer him?
No,
No, go ahead. You answer him. No. Okay. You could have asked him that question. Sitting right next to you.
Marty?
Hey, Marty.
This comes with no disclaimer.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
Just right to the point. Right to the point. On special teams, Eddie's put 9 kickoffs into the front row. 2 questions. A, do you need a kick coverage unit when he's out there? And B,
It was interesting. So we were at Colorado State. We had of course, you're kicking at altitude, right? But our kicker was his name, and we had a pretty good lead in a ball game, and I sent him out there initially alone and had the kickoff team stay on the sideline.
you could have done that against Northern Colorado.
And I
maybe,
was
but
like, this would be interesting, wouldn't it? It's up to you to kick it through the end zone.
I guess the irony is that
you better make the tackle.
But with all really with all nine touchbacks, you're near the bottom in net kick coverage. Is there a thought? Maybe not against Tennessee with their great kick return guys, but is there a thought maybe not to have them do that and try and pin them deeper? Or
no, makes it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Now we have for situational football when there's certain poppet things that we do when needed from that standpoint, but it hadn't come up yet.
Pass the anchor, please, and then all the way back.
I'm not sure how much contact you guys do. I know that's very limited in season, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you improve things like tackling, fumbling, and then another one that seemed to be a little bit of an issue, pass protection with the running backs? You know, you're not going to have a guy just running at Malik Davis full speed. I mean,
here's the one thing, and it's been disappointing too, because you're right. Our deficiency, I'm going to start with the last one, but our deficiency on some things in the protection from that position has got to drastically improve, no doubt about it. And you can work on it, and you can work on it at a pretty good tempo, because you got to understand that's all short space stuff, all right. And the tackling was good the first 3 quarters of that game. I'll give that running back. That guy can stiff arm now. He's pretty good, but those are everyday drills, and you're able to do them. And it's just something we've got to continue to do.
And fumbling, same thing.
Same deal. Everyday drills.
You did say veterans. I mean, and I know you don't like single out guys, but Chauncey Gardner looked like there wasn't even kind of a willingness on some tackles. Is he 100% healthy? I mean, did that play into it?
You saw what I saw.
Okay.
Question in the back. Yeah, Andy, you can mic in the back.
Coach, are you a big believer in your guys take away kind of an intangible quality from last week, in that in a similar situation there's a big boost in confidence that they can pull it out again, or you just kind of feel like, hey, we got away with one and hope we're not?
No, I think I think first and foremost, victories are hard to come by. You celebrate them. You learn from them just like you do defeats. But, man, were you in the stadium? Did you hear that place? And did you see the excitement of those people? I mean, man, that is college football right there. And, enjoy the heck out of it. Learn from it when we look at it, right? But at the same time, just to be able to go do something like that, there's been a couple. That was pretty cool.
Matt, Sorry, Graham. Sorry.
You spoke a lot about getting it to the playmakers and having them, go make a play in space. With that said, against Tennessee, Kadarius Toney seemed to be more one of the electric guys when he had the ball in his hands. Is there a chance for his role to expand going forward on special teams even?
Yeah, I think, in his case, learning a new position, you overload guys and then they paralyze themselves. So you bit by bit, obviously what's helped him is actually playing the quarterback position because it understanding, where all that kind of stuff is actually been good for him. Now, the technical aspect, he's never been a receiver, but he'll continue to learn, and as he does that that part keeps coming.
A couple final questions for Thomas and Lane.
You mentioned Saturday.
This is a long one today. These guys had a lot of housekeeping to do.
You mentioned Saturday that you thought the line was maybe getting to the second level a little too quickly.
I did. So they were playing both backside and then some front side stuff with their backers, which we were getting off to go get him too soon. Now, part of it, some Mike ID issues that need to be corrected, all right, where we make the proper run check and we don't ID it correctly, which in turn gets you thin, all right? And but with that, handling the double teams. Now, this is a different front we're playing. We're playing an odd front this week with guys that are actually some two-gappers, that's their responsibility is to hold on to the double teams. So it's technically the difference between this odd front and then the four-down front we just saw. There's some differences in that. But don't take it away from what Tennessee did. They knew what to do to give it problems, and we didn't correct it.
We'll wrap it up with Ryan over here.
So obviously the guys are aware of this streak over Kentucky. How do you address it with them? What do you say about it this week?
Well, I mean, I'll let you guys talk about it. Every year's different. You got two different teams playing. So right now it's 0-0.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.